Hello everyone, you are on the channel UFO Evidence. Today, we're diving deep into some of the most shocking and well-documented UFO encounters in history. These aren't just blurry photos or hearsay. These are cases with multiple witnesses, radar data, and even physical evidence that have left investigators baffled for decades. Are we alone in the universe? The stories we're about to explore might just make you question everything you thought you knew. So, grab your popcorn, turn down the lights, and prepare to have your mind blown. Let's start with a case that is still sending shivers down the spines of aviation experts, the Japan Airlines Flight 1628 incident. On November 17, 1986, Captain Kenju Terauchi and his crew were flying a Boeing 747 cargo plane over eastern Alaska. Suddenly, they saw two unidentified lights to their left. These weren't just distant stars. They were moving erratically and seemed to be pacing the aircraft. Captain Terauchi, a veteran pilot with over 10,000 flight hours, described them as looking like ships with numerous small windows or thrusters that glowed. As they watched, a third, much larger object appeared. Terauchi described it as a gigantic mothership, a walnut-shaped vessel that was, and I quote, twice the size of an aircraft carrier. The object was so massive it appeared on both the plane's own weather radar and on ground-based military radar. Air traffic controllers at Anchorage confirmed an unidentified radar target near the 747. For over 50 minutes, this colossal object and its smaller companions shadowed the jet. They performed maneuvers impossible for any known aircraft, including instantaneous changes in direction and speed. The FAA initially confirmed the radar data, but later tried to downplay the event, suggesting it was just an unusual reflection of weather. However, Captain Terauchi and his crew were adamant about what they saw. Their detailed testimony, combined with the corroborating radar evidence, makes this one of the most compelling UFO encounters ever recorded in aviation history. What could be so large and move so fast in the skies above Alaska? Next, we travel to Belgium for one of the largest and most credible UFO flaps in modern history. Between 1989 and 1990, thousands of people across the country reported seeing large, silent, black triangular objects flying slowly in the night sky. These weren't fleeting glimpses. These sightings lasted for minutes, sometimes hours, and were witnessed by civilians, police officers, and military personnel alike. The objects were often described as having bright lights at each corner and a powerful central light. The most famous incident occurred on the night of March 30th, 1990. Two Belgian Air Force F-16 fighter jets were scrambled to intercept one of these unknown objects detected on radar. What happened next is extraordinary. For over an hour, the F-16 pilots attempted to lock onto the target with their onboard radar. Multiple times they achieved a lock, only for the object to perform incredible evasive maneuvers. It would accelerate from 150 miles per hour to over 1,000 miles per hour in seconds and drop thousands of feet in an instant, movements that would have subjected any human pilot to crushing G-forces. The pilots never got a visual confirmation, but their radar data was undeniable. The Belgian military later held a press conference, openly admitting they had no explanation for the phenomena. They released the radar recordings and case files to the public, making the Belgian UFO wave a landmark case of government transparency and an enduring mystery. What were these silent triangles that outmaneuvered some of the most advanced fighter jets on the planet? Now, let's head to a place known for its high strangeness, the American Southwest. The Phoenix Lights incident of March 13, 1997, is perhaps the most witnessed mass UFO sighting in history. Tens of thousands of people across a 300-mile corridor, from the Nevada border through Phoenix to the edge of Tucson, saw something incredible in the sky. The reports were consistent. A massive V-shaped or boomerang-shaped craft, estimated to be a mile wide, glided silently over populated areas. It was so large that it blocked out the stars behind it. Witnesses included then Arizona Governor Fife Symington, a former Air Force pilot. He initially mocked the event at a press conference to quell public panic, but years later he came forward and admitted he had seen it too. He described it as otherworldly and enormous, stating it was not any man-made object he had ever seen. The official explanation from the military was that the lights were flares dropped by A-10 Warthog aircraft on a training exercise. However, this explanation doesn't hold up. Witnesses insist the object was a solid craft, not individual lights drifting down. It moves slowly and silently, unlike flares which would fall and be accompanied by the sound of jets. The V-shape was a distinct, cohesive structure. The Phoenix lights remain a profound enigma, a moment when thousands of ordinary people shared an extraordinary experience that defies any conventional explanation. From the skies to the ground, let's examine a case involving direct physical evidence, the Rendlesham Forest Incident. In December 1980, strange lights were seen descending into Rendlesham Forest, right next to two US Air Force bases in the UK, RAF Bentwaters and RAF Woodbridge. These weren't just any bases, they were believed to be storing nuclear weapons at the time, making this a serious national security event. On the first night, security patrolmen went into the woods to investigate what they thought was a downed aircraft. Instead, they found a glowing, metallic, triangular object hovering just above the ground. Sergeant Jim Peniston, one of the first on the scene, got close enough to touch the craft. He described its surface as smooth, like dark glass, and covered in strange hieroglyphic-like symbols. After a few minutes, the object lifted off and disappeared at incredible speed. The next day, investigators found 3 distinct indentations in the ground, where the object's landing gear had apparently rested. They also took radiation readings at the site, which were significantly higher than normal background levels. 2 nights later, the object returned. This time, Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt led a team into the forest and witnessed it himself, recording the entire event on a microcassette recorder. They saw the object shining a beam of light down to the ground and later saw it break into multiple smaller lights that zipped across the sky. The Holt memo, a formal report of the incident, and the audio recording provide powerful official documentation of an encounter that is often called Britain's Roswell. Finally, we can't talk about shocking encounters without mentioning one of the most famous cases in US history, the Roswell incident of 1947. While it's been sensationalized for decades, the core story remains compelling. In July 1947, a rancher named Mac Brazel discovered a large field of strange debris on his property near Roswell, New Mexico. The material was unlike anything he had ever seen. It included lightweight, metallic I-beams with strange symbols, pieces of foil-like material that couldn't be burned or dented, and other odd fragments. Initially, the local military base, Roswell Army Airfield, issued a press release stating they had recovered a flying disc. The story made headlines around the world, but within 24 hours, the military completely reversed its story. They held a press conference claiming the object was nothing more than a common weather balloon. They even had the rancher, Mac Brazel, pose for photos with weather balloon debris. However, many of the original witnesses, including high-ranking military officers like Major Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer who first handled the debris, maintained for the rest of their lives that what they found was not from this world. He described the material as having incredible properties, stating it was nothing made on this earth. Decades later, numerous other first-hand witnesses came forward, some even claiming that non-human bodies were recovered from a second crash site. While the truth of Roswell may be buried under layers of official denial and public speculation, the initial admission by the US military that they had recovered a flying saucer is a historical fact that continues to fuel the debate. From veteran pilots to military colonels, from police officers to governors, these cases involve credible witnesses whose testimony is often backed by radar data, photographs, and even physical traces. The incidents in Alaska, Belgium, Phoenix, Rendlesham Forest, and Roswell are just a few of the thousands of encounters that defy simple explanations. They force us to ask the big questions. What are these objects? Where do they come from? And what does their presence mean for the future of humanity? The evidence is piling up, and is getting harder and harder to ignore. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts on these cases in the comments below. Thanks for joining us on UFO Evidence. If you found these stories as fascinating as we do, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss an update as we continue to explore the unexplained. Until next time, keep looking up.